be moving.
Yeah, I know.
I'm glad you said that.
You know, this.
I'm glad you said that. That'll make part of tonight's discussion easy.
Yeah, you said it. That wasn't recorded though. We'll call the meeting to order. Start with the pledge, or Cody, you lead in prayer.
You bet. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for letting us, providing us a place to gather and discuss and work on issues, you know, the best supports our district, the best interest of our district and our kids. And just thank you for this beautiful day, and just be with all of us and our students as we finish up the summer, getting ready for a new year. In your name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Next, we will start off, I guess, did you want to go through the recognitions?
Yeah. We won the Lone Star Cup. Yabba dabba doo. We thought we would, and we did. I think when we met last time, I told you that a Little Red Bird had indicated to me that UIL would send one of their executives out to present us with the big thing. And so, just full disclosure, my son-in-law Jody is real tight with the guy that is the director of academics, Dr. David Stevens.
Mhm.
And so I communicated with Jody and I said, so do you think Dr. Stevens is the person? And Jody said, let me check. And so they had several text exchanges, and then I got an email from the UIL yesterday and it said, you and the other school division winners will have someone coming out, pick two preferred dates. And so I picked, my first preferred date was homecoming, right before the homecoming ball game. And then the second one was for before our game at Gridiron Classic, because I knew the bleachers would be full in both of those events. But Dr. Stevens had indicated to Jody that he would be looking for us, and he would jump at the front of the line. And so I'm expecting David Stevens to be here. I mean, I think it happened on the 19th, September the 19th at homecoming. So that'll be another thing that we can do. And I don't know, in my mind on the Lone Star Cup, it feels like we should have a big fandangle of some kind. That's really not my skill set. Your thoughts? Do we need to have a big party about that, or you think blending it with homecoming is
How many times? have
party
you won
enough?
it Before,
You want?
how many times has Jayton won it before?
No.
Well, seems like a pretty big deal.
See, I mean, I think we need a monument too.
We thought it was a huge deal the first year we went to state in basketball, and then they just kept going. I mean, that's pretty big, the one Lone Star Cup, that's what.
But I know and you're on the homecoming committee, I think.
Mhm.
Bless your little pea picking heart. And the new president of the Lions Club. Way to go. You're polishing your resume.
I am.
But I don't remember, it's been a while since I've attended homecoming here. As I remember, it's like 3 days or at least 2 days full of stuff.
Yes.
And I am, so if we were gonna have a big fandangle, y'all have a feed on Saturday?
Saturday. And then we do the assembly after lunch on Saturday.
And do you charge money for the meal?
Yes.
I mean, so if we weren't gonna make it part of that,
Mhm.
I mean, I'm open.
Yeah.
I'm open to it.
Okay.
There'd be a lot of eyes and ears here if we try to blend it with that somehow.
Then or the football game, I don't know. What do y'all think? I mean, I like the idea of the stands being full for pictures.
Well, yeah, Dr. Stevens, I mean, if he
Just
grabs
kinda
that
make it a
day,
weekend long.
yeah, but I mean, we can just
We can
keep tooting our
acknowledge it.
horn as long as we want to,
Yeah.
you know?
And Mr. Humphrey said the ring ceremony, we could acknowledge it at everything, don't y'all think? It can be a big,
I'm
every time we get together, remind everybody.
Well, we can chew on that. That doesn't have to be decided now. Try to
Okay.
process it. I like to give by the way, thank you all for your service. Jiminy Christmas. I'm reading through, the law that the legislature passed. It just, hi, Bertie.
Wow.
I don't know why good people serve on the school board, but I'm thankful. Kyra Hall, my grandkids, were the beneficiaries of a summer track program. And I think there were other kids in this community that were the benefits of the summer track. And Kyra picked it up this year. I felt this terrible for her when the track meet got rained out that evening. But she told me the other day that they had 8 qualify for College Station, which will be a weekend away from this one. So yay. Lacey and Melissa Smith volunteered to sit in with me on interviews for the daycare assistant position and the maintenance position, and I was thankful. I had originally asked Andy to sit in on the maintenance position, but then when Teresa, when she put her application in, I talked to Andy. I said, we'll do it however you want to do it. I said, if you feel awkward about your sister being there, then, so he decided not, which I understand. Kayla Ragsdale, and I had some conversations back in March, April, and she's very much into trying to help the kids in this building that think they're headed toward healthcare, trying to help giving them some intern shadowing experiences. So she's been doing that this summer, and I wanted to publicly thank her for that. And then Keith and Jamie, part of the technology bond stuff was a lot of furniture, and it's like IKEA backs a truck up, and it's not furniture that's put together. So they spent a lot of time putting furniture together, and I'll publicly thank them for that. All right, that's all I have.
Thank you, sir. And we will move to the principal report.
Start off with enrollment. We're looking at 8 possible transfers right now that we have that we'll look at and go over. We've visited 5 of those are from Rotan, 2 are from Spur, and one of them is a local that we already have another student here. So excited about that. The opportunities there from everything through my homework and visiting with the parents and the families are good people and willing to transfer their kids here and drive here. So looks good. But Mr. Coulter and myself will be reviewing those next week. As far as staffing goes, we're blessed. I was when I was in the people I visited with, there's still people looking for coaches and teachers, and gosh, what a blessing to have everyone on board. And like I said last time, the quality of candidates that we've had, just a real blessing. Very fortunate to have interviews and not per se settle. And so very blessed there. Our student travel, the state FFA convention in Fort Worth, Jace, Sydney, Caleb, and Cutter, and Reese and Cooper all received their Lone Star degrees, which is the highest membership awarded. Did a great job there. And then Colt and Jace advanced in agri-science animal science, advancing to national. And so I'm assuming that will be a quick trip off across country again.
Same day? We don't know yet. Same day.
Yeah, so hopefully we can work that out for them. I know we took them across town last year and dropped them off the airport, and but super again to get to go back. Was that 3 years in a row with the national meet? So that's awesome. Mr. Miller did get his recognition today for his 30 years through the.
Oh, he did?
He did. Yeah. Reposted it. So congratulations to him. That's a long time. Good for him.
I bet he didn't run up there again.
He was dressed up. He was dressed up too. Had the shirt and coat and tie on, so I want to hold him to that. But another thing to be really proud of. Like I said, we're there in services August 7th. School starts the 14th. If you're wondering, that's 3 weeks from Thursday. So looking at those things, and it will be here. But getting ready for in service and all those fun things to start the school year off, and excited to see kids back and do what we do.
On the subject of Shane, I had a parent in my office a few weeks ago. Believe it or not, with some heartburn, but that parent, a male, ended up crying and telling me how much he appreciated Shane Miller for the work he had done with it. Children.
You said 8 transfers, what would that put our enrollment at, 8 transfers? 175, 180? We're
One,
about 180.
well, we end up being, because we have the Branhams, we end up getting, there's 4 or 5 students we're not sure about. The rumor mill has it, but until they officially unenroll, I think we'll end up being 1 or 2 students ahead there. And then gaining 8 more. I mean, that put us, I would say 185-ish, 85, but again, until people enroll. And until
Yeah.
people unenroll, it's really a guessing. And that's why I didn't give you a number. I mean,
Okay.
I can go off of last year, but I know that there's ones that are not gonna be here, already, but they haven't unenrolled officially, so.
And I think, if I remember, the Branham daughters, the twins were the only ones in high school.
Right.
Of the new
Yes,
ones that we
yes.
think may be coming.
And the oldest of the transfers, there was 1 8th grader and the rest of them are kindergarten through 4th, 5th grade. So that's not gonna affect our enrollment in high school for
Our big classes are coming.
Our big classes are coming, but Josh was looking at the numbers, looks like if things stay close to the way we were, we'll be Division II for the next realignment. And then after that, we would probably go Division I with those bigger classes coming.
Okay, I think that's, or we'll shoot for 185, 190. That'd be a good number. With that huge raise the legislature gave us.
Right.
And, okay,
For 2 years.
thank you, sir. And Mr. Coulter.
The focus on learning, on that screen there is, I keep telling you all stuff and I keep exposing you to different things, and I keep saying the same thing. There's a lot of people around this country that are thinking about how we make better futures for our kids. And this particular group is called Getting Smart. And I've worked with Dr. Tom Vander Ark on some projects over the last few years. But he and his group are very much focused on working with schools at trying to shift the way they address the needs of their students to address all of those categories and help them to be more well-rounded, better prepared to enter the workforce, better prepared to be contributors to society. So you've kind of seen different versions of this sort of thinking. Something that's a little bit unique about the Getting Smart group is they specifically there, that bottom the bottom right area, when they talk about civic engagement and the importance of that. And then the top just left, the purple there, the service, the commitment to service are kind of unique because it's others centric kinds of thinking and behavior rather than just self-centric kind of thinking and behavior. So, and another thing I'll remind you all, because I'm an authorized board training provider, when I'm giving you these snippets of stuff, I'm adding these minutes up. So you can get some board training credit without having to sit through a 3-hour stretch of us talking about those things. Questions about that? If you got them before I move on. And I believe I dropped that into the board packet. Yes. Okay. All right. Let me say one more thing about that too. In relation to the conversation we were having, Stephanie, about 4-H, and one of the things that Dr. Alexander got pretty fired up about with 4-H was trying to push that localized research mindset down to 3rd grade. Mm-hmm. And so that entrepreneurial thing there is very much aligned with coming up with ideas, mm-hmm. tinkering with them, trying, see if it works, mm-hmm. see if you can monetize it maybe, yep. Which is what Colt and Jace are doing with their FFA. I mean, how can you make chickens grow muscle faster? There's money behind it. If they can figure out a way to do it, there's money there.
Yeah, we did it with pre-K. We started with pre-K in Yuhan.
Oh, yeah?
Mm-hmm. They were called Clover Kids.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Yep, it is. You would like the research.
I'm done with that, Cody.
All right. Is there anybody on the public comments? Nobody on the minutes? We'll move to the action item, consider election of board secretary.
There's some documents that really need an official board secretary signature, and I don't know, after you make the decision and we have two board members come on, y'all may want to reorganize, that'll be up to you later on, but we really need to formally designate a secretary for the time being.
Kenzie's doing a good job. Can we nominate
Paper,
you?
rock, scissors. We'll let you take paper, rock, scissors.
You raised his hand first.
Yeah. Does that mean you want to do it?
Motion.
All in
Okay.
favor?
You're volunteering. You're about to be proud.
Legal now.
Okay.
As her mother says, everybody loves Kenzie.
Her mother says that. Ready?
Okay, next we will take an action item, consider calling special election to fill open board seats.
Yeah, from the feedback that I've gotten from y'all and the conversations that I've had directly with Cody, it sounds like that's where the train's headed, and so the homework I did, you saw that ahead of time. I originally, my first reading of the law, it sounded like we might could have it before November, but after reading through that and then the guidance from the Secretary of State, it looks like we have to have it on the next uniform election day.
Okay.
So Cody has in front of him two documents that but one of it's the long lawyer, 3 or 4 pages, and 3 or 4 pages of lawyer speak, which basically says we're gonna have a special board election. And then no, I take that back. I'm getting ahead of myself. That has to do with the bond measure. The board election, we just declare and then we get busy about now that we have a secretary, the board packet candidates packets would come into the secretary. Well, they'd float to Kelsey, but officially the secretary would be in receipt of them. And if I remember correctly, September 3rd would be the drop dead date, I think, on applications. And then November the 4th would be the election date. And then, of course, like all other board elections, we would have 11-day window to canvass the votes. And so we would seek those presumably 2 people sometime before Thanksgiving.
Anybody have any heartburn over that?
No, I feel like that's the best way to get as much input as possible.
Okay, will that be an action item? We'll need a motion.
I'll make the motion.
Andy makes a motion.
Second.
Kenzie seconds, all in favor? Oh. Yeah, you type way faster, than Andy.
She can type fast. I can tell you that.
Next, we will, it'll be an action item, consider presenting bond measure to fund 3-year plan for replacement of rolling stock.
Yeah, I've shown you that, that document before. Let me hear on my list. Yeah, that's the one I created, and I haven't changed that from the last time you saw it. And basically, I just took assessment of everything we have. We have wheels on it. And projected that we would at least replace those within a 3-year stretch. And you can see the number there is 1.826775, which I didn't really think that would be a good number to put on the bond measure. So I just rounded it to 1.9 million. If you all want to go. And I've had repeated conversations with the county commissioners, trying to build bridges between this group and that group so that both groups kind of know the thinking that's going on at both tables. It's not a good thing if those two bodies are at odds with each other. So yeah, I think I haven't talked to anybody yet that thinks it's a bad idea. for transportation. And then obviously, it would not have to raise property taxes because we can use permanent school funds to pay bonded indebtedness. While I'm on that topic, each of you have a spare sheet laying in front of you. Judge Coulter sent this to me this afternoon while I was traveling back from San Antonio, which is a slight revision from the one that was in your board packet. Oddly enough, I mean, the one that was in the board packet, I think, was 2 weeks old, and so that money's jumped by about $1 million in 2 weeks. It's unbelievable. I mean, Lacey and I've had several conversations about that. And I was visiting with Dr. Chapman from Comal ISD today too, because they have some green energy stuff going on down in their district as well. And it looks to me like that from the federal level, the focus is shifting away from the green energy things and not incentivizing that. And consequently, it means the petroleum-based energy is going to be worth more money, at least until we hit peak oil. They've been predicting peak oil for about 40 years, and we seem to figure out how to squeeze more of it out.
We'd run out when I was a kid. They still want to run out in 10
Yep,
years.
right. Yep.
Would that bond be the November 4th?
It would be on the November 4th ballot also.
Okay.
And that's the documents that are in front of McKinsey here. One of them is multiple pages of lawyer speak. And yeah, it's the same language you saw last year, except you had 4 bond measures instead of 1. And so this one speaks only to transportation. One thing I noticed today when I was reading through that it indicates that Craig Harrison will be the person in charge of selecting judges and stuff. And I had a conversation with Lane over the weekend when we were helping Mom and Dad move, and he wasn't at all sure that since there's not a county election going on and not a state election going on, he wasn't at all sure that it would be run by the county. So sorry, Ken, is that the thick one?
This is the thick one. Mhm.
There's an item down here, because this document stipulates that Craig will be the person doing it. But then on page 4, section 9, it says modifications, and what it says is the board also gives the board president and or the superintendent or their designee permission to modify these documents with technical changes for correction purposes without changing the substance of the offer. So once I'm dead certain we can either conduct the election side by side when we have the board member election. And I think that's probably the way it'll play out. Do you know if we've had that kind of experience before? Do you remember?
COVID, maybe,
Yeah.
we,
Didn't-
but
just way
you
push it
don't
back.
think there'll be any Texas constitutional things in November?
Well, you know what? You mentioned to me,
That
of
property tax.
and Lane may not even be aware of that. So that I need to clarify that too, because Lacey got information from Cindy Watson the other day. One of the things the legislature did was change the homestead exemption from $100,000 to $140,000. And we thought, we're off and running. And then Cindy indicated to Lacey the other day that would have to pass the voters in November. So
AR
may
tells
in
me
fact-
17 proposed constitutional amendments.
17? Okay. So maybe we will have the bond measure at the courthouse.
Will there be an effort to educate the community about the bond?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. And I think well, I mean, y'all know me, I would probably be over, people will probably be sick of hearing about it.
Homecoming night would probably be excellent.
Most of those folks don't live
Everybody will
here.
be there.
Get them there for the Lone Star Cup. You're about to, but before we get to that, then you count them
No
captured.
pictures of last year's guys.
I think an excellent time,
Yeah, with the horses.
to when Dr. David Stevens is giving us the Lone Star Cup, we could be holding up this. And
Pictures from San Antonio, they're working on it.
Right.
when we won the state basketball tournament, our bus was broke down.
Yeah.
So, yeah, well, it'll be well publicized. And I talked to different people about this. Some say, don't get in the weeds and give too many details because it bogs things down. And then they say, give them big round numbers and don't get specific. That's not my inclination.
Right.
I think if you're asking people for their money, you need to be clear about how you want to spend it. I think.
And this right here is very clear cut, easy to understand. There it is.
We will need a motion to approve that consideration for the bond.
So I make a motion that we propose a transportation bond.
Second it.
Stephanie, Cody seconds, all in favor?
Would you put in there that it'd be up for $1.9 million? Is that okay, Steph?
Yep, that's great.
Or we can hand that sheet out when people are coming through the gate at homecoming. For the bond.
Put it on the jumbotron.
Okay, so now,
got technology.
sign this or do I sign after?
Y'all can sign later,
Okay.
but, just for you and there's two documents there for you and Cody. One, it's the multiple page lawyer thing, and the other is a certs. I think both of you have to sign that other one. It says secretary
Sure, do that.
certification.
Yeah. you already know.
I worked with a guy from Hamlet who lives in Glenrose and knows Mr. Overbo, and
Uh-huh.
his brother works for API. Were they doing the transmitter out here? Said he sent him a picture. He called me. He's like, dude, are y'all trying to like raise NFL football players or something? But football stand? It's like, man, that thing is-
It's amazing to me, being around the school stuff, it's pretty frequently, I'll see a car pull around the back and creep around the stadium, that one that I don't recognize, and they'll leave.
Just looking at
And, I think it's people just scoping it out. Thank you all, by the way, for, the support, and, I mean, I interpret that as, and one thing I interpret that is you trust me, and I thank you for that.
Next, we'll move to consider reimbursement from monument previously purchased by the Booster Club.
I'm showing
At
home.
home school.
Is mine out of order? Okay. I'm good.
Well, that's on
This will be the monument reimbursement.
there? Okay. I thought I had taken that off of there. So it's an action item, isn't it? Or you got?
But, I mean, y'all have the.
Wait, it's
You-
not in
Not a
here.
board vote.
It's not a board
You
vote, it's
have,
an action
it's
item.
on my piece of paper. But you have,
You know
you-
what? Kelsey printed those out,
Before.
yeah,
Okay.
for.
but
board
you
book,
have
not public.
the,
No,
mount.
it's not in the board, it's not on that's not on the agenda on the official,
Okay.
on the
then we'll
website.
just-
And so, can I speak to
The
that, Cody?
homeschool thing on yours?
Yes, ma'am. It's next.
Okay, it's next, okay.
Is it okay if I speak
Yes,
to that? So Cody and I had a conversation, well, in fact, both Codys and I had that conversation. And I told them, because I knew that was a desire for that reimbursement. And so when I had my pre-agenda conversation with Cody Scott last week, I told him, I said, if you want to make a point, okay, we can leave it on there. I said, that's well within my spending authority. And I think the school should have paid for that monument in the first place, and so I can just authorize the reimbursement. Unless you want it to be a public item, and so after we discussed it, he said, let's just take it off. So I did take it off, but Kelsey just didn't see it. She was getting ready to go to the coaching school with Josh, and so she was printing that out before I got my hands on the board. So I've already authorized that reimbursement, and that's already flowed to Lacey's desk, so that's coming. And we'll talk about that some more later when we talk about monuments.
Next, we'll look at the homeschool opt-out decision, SB 401.
Yeah, I've given you a heads up on that. That's just one of the laws the state legislature changed. In previous law, homeschool students could only participate if the school board specifically said, we'll let homeschool students participate. The legislature flipped that this last spring, and now that the law says homeschoolers can participate unless the board specifically says no. The coaches have been a little bit nervous about it because they don't want us to bump us up into Division I. I don't know of any homeschooler, high school homeschoolers in the county. I know of one elementary age, I think,
Probably one.
one high school. And the thing is, I mean, and this will be an action item next time we meet. But I'm just seed planting here. The coaches at coaching school went to some UIL presentations. And Kevin, the information he gave me while I was in San Antonio, yesterday was, it seems like the UIL is even sending mixed messages about whether or not the homeschoolers would count on your ADA.
No.
So, the picture will get clearer. Again, if we say homeschoolers in our school district cannot play for us, then they automatically can play for the closest neighboring school. So, I know there will be some jockeying going on. Our remoteness probably does not lend itself to much of that.
And you haven't had requests or interest in
No.
the kids wanting to participate?
Not other than the ones that, I mean, like, Jamie referenced earlier. And I don't think I heard you say that both of those parents had been board members at Rotan.
Yes,
Interestingly enough.
former board members.
But, no, I haven't had people reaching out that.
Is that participating in all academic, athletic,
Everything UIL related.
everything?
Well, I know.
I mean, as long as they're eligible in other regards. I mean,
Yeah.
the UIL has the rules on.
And Aspermont
professional
voted against
amateur
it.
stuff. Do what?
Aspermont voted against it early on. Did y'all see that in their paper? Yeah.
So are we you think we'll get?
Well, that's what, whenever you said
Maybe get-
neighboring.
Oh, we might get somebody from Swenson.
Yeah.
But if they didn't live in your district, they would still would they not be a transfer? So they wouldn't be a transfer then? If they
No.
lived in Asheville, and
No,
Asheville
they can-
doesn't allow, they would not be a transfer
They're just.
Because-
No, they could just participate in UIL.
here in UI. So that's kind of a
But
way
the
to,
question is whether or not they're gonna be added to your ADA.
yes, but that's a way to circumvent the transfer rule too.
Sure.
I homeschool my kids for a semester or 2 semesters. We go homeschool, we're mad at the coach.
Yeah.
We homeschool for a semester, now we can go to wherever to play because. That's,
Well, and in my previous,
That is a loophole.
my previous life, and not much, I don't remember it happening when I was a principal here, but in the big schools, it was pretty frequently. Parents would get upset with us about something and then say, I'm gonna homeschool my kid. And so they would take their kid out, but even when they do that now, depends on what their local school board does, then they have the option, they can get angry at the principal and take the kids out, but they'd still play football.
But no funding.
Well.
All their
we don't-
funding goes to homeschool.
Correct.
Hmm.
Kind of well, there's other things that the legislature did that are gonna create some very interesting scenarios over time. That's all I got on, it's just seed planning on that, and next, the picture will be clearer, but, and I will intend to communicate with you before we get to the board meeting. As the coaches give me better insight on what they've learned from the UIL on that.
Good.
Yep.
Next, there's a discussion on a purchase and placement of state champion monuments and signage plan.
So, the document I put in the board packet, as I was driving back from Mathis last week. It just occurred to me, because I've kind of given you all a heads up on this. As I was driving back from Mathis last week, it just occurred to me, because I was counting up state championships, and I had forgotten about our band, our state marching champions. And arguably, those were more difficult to win than any of the other ones we won, because we were using seventh graders through 12th graders and nobody was standing on the sideline. Everybody was a starter. And if I remember correctly, you were on
97.
the 97. If I remember correctly, those were the first seventh graders in the history of the UIL to get a gold medal from the UIL.
That's cool.
Yeah. Pretty remarkable. But anyway,
Yes.
Ray was the first one, and then
Start with the M, Munoz.
Munoz. Yep, Munoz was the second. So there's the UIL state championships, football 84, marching band 97, marching band 99, boys basketball last year, for which we have a monument, football this last fall, boys basketball this spring, and UIL Cup for this academic year. So that's 7. And we only have one monument. Go ahead.
Football, 85.
Oh, it was 85?
84 and 85.
Both years.
Oh, we won it twice?
Yes.
Oh, I did not know that. Good to know. Good to know. Thanks for that clarification. So. I mean, I've put my feelings out there in front of everybody. To me, they ought to be in one nice plaza, champions or something. It doesn't make good sense to me that we scatter them all over the place. But I understand that I think there's some that feel that way. Let me show you this while I've got your attention, if I have your attention. Oops, that's the wrong one. So here is the front of the school, here in front of the administration building. I'll make that bigger. And here's that big flower bed thing. Someone has proposed to me we not put them there.
Do not, or we might.
That we might.
Okay.
That might be a place if we're going to centrally locate them. Another possibility is as you're driving in on Schoolhouse Road, this is the wall right here, right in front of the elementary building. So we got a nice spot right here that you can't miss it. And so if we were to locate them there, and maybe even take out these parking spaces where cars couldn't block it out and put lighting or, make it, I think it needs to be something that looks nice. And personally, I think we should probably consider putting it on a raised thing so that our friends from Spur or Aspermont that don't decide to come over and bump it over with a vehicle. Or when you were in high school, it was Patton Springs. Yeah, they stole the bell from the
goalpost.
But then I can tell you all the story one of these days about Lane coming to Robert Lee when he was in high school and burning a bee in the football field. But, oh no, that's being recorded. With malice aforethought. So, and then another possibility is as you're coming in on Schoolhouse Road, this little thing here that we've had forever. And Billy Scoggin told me the other day at Commissioner's Court that more than once that's been run over by somebody. But one of the things I had thought about, did what?
Remember she had that red right out there.
When I was hit,
Oh,
my horse went up on it.
oh, I didn't know that. I just remember taking the keys away from those guys as they were trying to get away. But one of the things I thought about is maybe not there, but if we could get permission from the city to put a roundabout right there to where I understand that these things can serve as an intimidation factor for people that are rolling up. And that kind of makes sense to me, because not many people could put
That's a good spot for a roundabout. That's a tough intersection.
It is a
right
tough
there.
intersection.
It would make it safer, I think.
Scares me to death.
Yeah.
And I guess we could negotiate, I guess it would be the city, suppose.
Yeah,
And I know the mayor.
yeah, you know the mayor.
I can give him trouble every day,
Only, you know, if it's convenient for buses coming in and
right?
making around,
Yeah.
around. That one would probably have to go.
So, but here's, and then, so now I wanna extend the conversation, because when we started having this, by the way, let me back up and say this. I think I can just go ahead and start getting the monuments prepared as we're making the decision where we're gonna have them placed. The price tag on that first one was about $8,000, right at $8,000. And, I think I need to go ahead and get the train rolling on, we need the monuments for to honor these. If we're gonna honor one state champion, we need to honor all of them, I think. And so I'll get the train rolling on that. And we need to make a decision where we're gonna put them. And so for tonight's conversation, we can either think about us deciding this, or if you'd rather me appoint a committee that brings us a couple of options. Again, that's really not my forte.
Mhm.
I mean, you can look at me and tell the aesthetics is really not really all that important to me.
I wouldn't mind having a few people involved in a decision that's gonna be
You're forever.
displayed forever.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hate to put that on you to put together a committee, but I think,
Well,
for one thing, I worry that we're gonna leave someone off. So the more
Of course.
ears, like was robotics, is that a UIL event? Did they win one year? Like, I wanna make sure we catch
I
them
don't
all.
think we won did we
Yeah.
win the state championship?
Yeah.
Okay.
Then I need to add that. And do you know what year that was?
Not last year, but the year before.
23?
Yeah, he was a freshman.
23?
23, one.
Yes, 23.
Okay. Man, oh man, I'm glad you brought that up. I did not know it. Is that UIL robotics?
Yes.
Correct.
Okay, and so that's 2023. And here, man, oh man.
So I'm thinking the more, if we can get a few more ears and eyes, we're less likely to overlook someone and
Yep,
more likely
agreed.
to have an aesthetic that we all think we can live with
I think
forever.
it's a good idea.
I think it would look neat right where you had it right in front of the elementary and lit up with like LEDs shining down on it and people.
Yeah.
Coming into it. It looked pretty neat. But I'll let you make. the
Okay.
decision.
I will assemble a group of folks that with distributed interests. I'll try not to stack the deck. And I'll give them a charge to think, ponder, sketch. We meet 14th, is that the next time? It's probably a little too, well, I don't know.
School starts the 14th.
Yeah, I think it's the 14th and the 28th, if I remember correctly. I'm trying to, the next times we meet.
Is that for budget and the meeting?
Yeah, we gotta have that budget hearing. And do what?
I don't have it on my calendar.
Did you sleep through that?
Definitely.
I think I have it on my calendar. I'll look right quick. I believe it's the 14th.
The one thing about the front flower bed, if it could, it's much easier now from a security standpoint to be able to see out the front of the building and see people coming up, because that's where most of our traffic is from.
Oh, the one in front of the
Because we had,
administrative doors.
and so that helps tremendously for Tony and myself, that you monitor those doors, because when you have stuff there, I mean, you can still see them, but it's much easier. You can see someone actually get out of their car now and
Yep.
see out there, and that's
So,
one of the main entry points to the building.
so for your calendars, the 12th, August 12th and August 26th will be the meetings that we need to have in August. And by the way, one of my goals was to reduce the number of board meetings. You had 3 board meetings last year. And so I was trying to get that work done within 2 board meetings. So Tuesday, the 12th, Tuesday, the 26th, Kinsey, will you make sure you put that at the bottom of the minutes, maybe the next board meetings, next scheduled board meetings or something, and on the 12th. Am I talking too fast?
No, I just don't have, I don't think I have a way to get there yet. Hang on.
Okay.
Hang on.
On the 12th, by law, we have to have a budget and tax hearing. I mean, that's where we're proposing officially. And people get to say it public if they will agree with it or not.
Next one, August 12th at 6:30.
Well, the budget hearing will be at 6:30, the open hearing. And the board meeting will follow, and you can put that at 6:45. I don't, even if we have people speaking, I don't think there'll be a lot of alarms. So I will put together a committee, and put them to work and see if I can poke them on enough to where they could have a recommendation to us on the 12th. Anything else you want to say, or the National Blue Ribbon thing? I mean, that's a noteworthy thing, but it's not as much a lineup and I'm gonna fight you for this trophy thing. It's more of, did you do this? Did you do this? Did you do this kind of stuff? In fact, I got an email today from the National Blue Ribbon folks saying, are you ready to apply again? So, and there's a lot of people that get that designation. Okay, Cody.
All right, next we will go over the Morath Communications Reese student.
Yeah, that's one of the legislature's things, and I won't beat this horse too long. But it's kind of rare when the commissioner himself goes to the trouble to send a letter about it, and so that's in your board packet. And here's the things, the two paragraphs that are most notable. They're really hemming up school administrators. If we suspect child abuse, we have to act on it almost immediately. I mean, we can't delay. And then also, historically, there's been so many instances that I know of where there was school employees having inappropriate relationships, and it was, if you'll leave, we'll just keep our mouth shut and no more. And y'all read about it every day too. I read a teacher in an Alabama Christian school this week having an inappropriate relation, and I've dealt with it too with employees. So basically, we have to report it, act on it, and we risk some liability if we do not. Okay.
Next, we'll move on to banning of digital services per House Bill 1481.
Yeah, this is Jamie and I've been, and every other principal and superintendent in the state. This is the state legislature's attempt to ban cell phones from the school house. And so here's the long and short of it. The law, what the legislature wants is cell phones out of the classrooms, period. I can't imagine if one of those legislators had a child in the classroom in Uvalde that they would want the cell phone in the classroom, but maybe they would. But cell phones, smartphones, tablets, smartwatches, they didn't mention Google Glasses, but other devices capable of digital communication. School devices are exempt. Enforcement, and here's the wiggle room stuff. Schools responsible for developing their own policies to implement the ban. Storage locate. Some schools are doing storage locations, which I think we've done here. Some schools tell teachers, if you can tell them to put them away, they put them away. And if they don't, then it's discipline. Some make them leave them in their lockers. Some schools I know are making them leave them in their car. And then exceptions, students with medical conditions or health conditions, safety reasons, which you could make that argument all day long. y'all can probably feel where I'm going, can't you? But to me, it seems to be a solution to a problem that doesn't exist everywhere. Are cell phones a problem sometimes? Yes, they are. And if you tell the students to put them away and they don't, then they should be disciplined for that. But Jamie and I have had conversations, and I'll let him weigh in too, but the conversations that he and I have had, where I'm landing is that we need to put the softest touch on this that we can legally get by with. Because this is the most robust learning tool that's ever existed. And to say, we don't want it in the learning environment, it just seems absurd to me. And I understand the problem. I mean, we've dealt with some of those problems where the tool is misused. I get that. Then we teach the kids how to use the tool appropriately. You want to speak?
It's in our student handbook. I mean, it's already been addressed. It says, I mean, not to be used in the classroom, teachers responsible for coming up with how or where it's in a packet, where it's on the desk. I had one cell phone problem the whole year last year, one problem the whole year, okay? So and Mr. Calder and I talked, it's not disrupting our learning environment. The teachers are responsible for the classroom, the students are responsible. We have so many kids that are taking dual credit. They spend the first 3 weeks of school with nothing to do. But I had one cell phone problem the whole year, and it's in the handbook. They're not to be used in restrooms, and it was dealt with. Other than that, it's not a problem. So the expectation on my end, as far as what we talked about, is to continue what we're doing. It does not disrupt the learning environment in the classroom, and it has not. If it does, we take it, they get it back at the end of the day. It's a $15 fine the second. We've already got it addressed in our handbook. There's nothing that we need to do, in my opinion, differently than what we're currently doing. It's fine. Are you going to have problems with cell phones? Yes, you are. You're going to have problems with, but if it's not the cell phone, I mean, a watch, how can smart man, come on. In my opinion, and when we
digital underwear.
Yes, but in my opinion, it's just not, we have addressed it. It did not fly across my desk. It's not a problem. Let's don't make it a problem by trying to take cell phones from kids walking down the halls, checking their backpacks or whatever. It's not a problem. And so we've addressed it. And I agree with you, the most soft way we can do it going forward. Our STAR scores and our data shows that we're being successful in the classroom. If it's not broke, don't fix it.
I remember Jamie's heard this story 20 years ago when I was a principal in the city. We were at the time still trying to ban keep phones out of the school. And it was pretty strident policy. And I remember walking into a Spanish teacher's classroom to just do some observation. And she had a kid sitting at the front of the room with a cell phone in his hand. And every other kid in the room had a cell phone in their hand. And I'm going, wait, what? And then she had the kid on the stool punch in a number and call a kid in the classroom next to it, which was native Spanish speakers. And this kid's learning Spanish, and she was having them try to have a conversation with a native speaker as part of the learning environment. No, I did not write that teacher up. I thought that was a remarkable learning strategy. But,
to speak a little bit along those lines too, speaking with Miss Harrison, we have so many kids in dual credit. All of your passwords well, you guys know this, it's multiple authentication. You can't just use your email address. It requires to send a text to that cell phone. So our dual credit kids would have no way to authenticate a lot of times to get into things.
I hadn't even thought about that.
You can't get into those things without those factors with a lot of your, so you're gonna have to give them. They're gonna have to give them that. There's not a way just to send it to your email address.
Right.
And so that was her concern, and she brought it up, and that makes a lot of sense. You think about how many things you got to have that phone for to log in or get into.
Next session will be only legislature kids get to carry their
That's
phones.
right. Correct. I keep thinking about you, Val. I mean, the districts that choose to take a hard stand on this, I think are just asking for continual battle with parents over safety. I don't think parents will want to be out of contact with their kids if something bad starts happening. But anyway,
Is there any, to go along with that bill, is there any kind of form or anything that we have to, or is it already done?
well, it just says the schools are supposed to develop policy and Jamie just read our policy and I'm thinking we say our policy addresses that already. And then if somebody wants to raise issue with it, then they can try to. As one of my mentors says, you can do just about whatever you want to, as long as you're prepared to defend whatever you decide. So. That's all on that, unless y'all want to keep beating that horse.
Next will be an action item to accept the resignation of Jeff Arnold from the Board of Trustees with gratitude for service from the district.
Yeah, and that, like we did last month with Matt, I just think it's a good idea for the whole board to act on it and express appreciation for the service. You all know better than anybody else how crappy it can be sometimes. And
We'll need a motion on that.
I'll make the motion.
Andy makes a motion, and I'll second it. All in favor? Next is discussion item, we have 2025 star results for grades 3 through 8.
Jamie put together some charts. I'll let him speak to that. You want to look at, is this the way you want to look at it?
Go to the PDF ones. Do you have the PDF? I changed it to a PDF today. And are you in board book?
Oh, you did?
Yeah,
Okay.
because it doesn't,
Didn't
those is
know
not
that.
exact. I changed the PDF in board book. But while he's loading that up, we had one student have to do a retake for English 1. For English, the second retake, we are now at 100%. Student did, so we're good there. We'll have no retakes going into next year for our high school kids.
I heard on the radio this morning that they're trying to abolish the STAR test.
They're looking at it again in this session.
They're meeting right now, and that's one of the top ones that I mentioned.
Yes, sir.
Replace it with something else. I don't forget what
That's
it's.
what I mean.
But those already done that.
I forgot the
Replaced it with a 3 times a year progress monitoring tool.
That's what I saw.
Florida.
Oh,
done
really?
it.
And say, I would be more in favor. That's a lot,
What is which one?
which we do now.
So Florida got rid of their end of year, their version of STAR. And instead replaced it with a 3 times a year progress monitoring tool.
Beginning, middle, and end of year, which we do. We do a beginning of year, end of middle of year, and then our end of year. We do that now, but not with STAR, but to prepare for STAR. So, I mean,
There we go.
but instead of having numbers, I mean, you can look at the numbers, but I did one in the charts. And so if you scroll, it should be at the bottom. Yeah, there it is. So you can fit on.
Tell me where you want to stop.
That's English. I mean, they're all on there. Or can you shrink it down a little bit? It'll all be on the screen. So, I mean, approaches is blue. There you go. State, ESC, and we're on the left. And so we're 100% approaches in algebra. I mean, you can see there, we're good there. Approaches meets masters is the yellow. And so that's how we are compared to the region. Go to, you scroll through and go to 4 if you don't mind. 4 was 1. That's English 1. So we had 100% of our kids approach. We had 92% of our kids meet grade level, and we had 36% of our kids master. That's extremely good. English 2 looks very similar, which is the next one. It's 92 and 50, 92, 192 and 50% of them. And so very, very solid there. Again, our RLA, look at 9, please.
9?
Yes, sir.
You know what? I'm driving Keith Imfinger. I know. I can feel it. I can feel it over here.
3rd grade RLA, tough. First test for those kids, tough. And Kenzie was talking about we examined data all year long. If you looked at this compared to the beginning of the year, amazing how much those kids grew this year. And so, I mean, and that's really what you really want to see is your kids continue to grow. But again, for a first rattle out of the box, that's extremely, extremely good for them. Go to 12, please.
And they have to type.
And they have to type, yes.
Do what?
The third graders have to type their
Oh.
essay on that test.
Sixth grade's another one there that just really 100%, 90%, 50% of the class mastered. And so really, really good. Again, if you compare that, and I didn't do it to put in, if you compare that to their data a year ago, they're growing like crazy. And so that's what we want. But really, and we're really ahead in approaches and meets for the majority of all of them. I just mastery, the ones that we're getting the mastery up there, I'd like our others to look like that, and just the higher learning, the higher thinking, cognitive skills and stuff like that to get to mastery and really focus on that. But all right, let's see here. 14. Again.
14.
Yes, sir. And
I'm
that's
getting better, Keith.
eighth grade RLA. Again, very, very good for them. That's a group in the past they've come a long ways since they were in elementary. And so again, those are good scores. All right, let's look at some 17, and I'm not skipping the ones that are not. 17, third grade math. Again, we have some work to do there. We're a little bit below in approaches and a little bit above in meets, and then right at it in mastery. But again, I'll tell you, if you looked at our beginning, that's much better than you looked at our beginning of the year. And so they've come a long ways. I know I visited with Miss Hernandez about that. She was the first 6 weeks of school, we spent lots of time fretting over them. And so when we did even though it's not where we want to be, I will tell you, it's way better. And so that class, and you're going to have some challenges, but I just wanted you to see that, and that's one that we can try to grow. 19 is fifth grade math, I believe. Again, really, really good. 100%, 87%, and 27%. If you looked at their fourth grade scores again, theirs was amazing, the amount of growth and the amount that they've moved. All right. 22 would be eighth grade math. Looks very, very similar. Again, did very well as far as your approaches and your math and your masteries above the others. Eighth grade science was 22 up, I believe.
It's what?
It should be 24, I believe.
24?
Again,
Okay.
Lots of approaches. Would like to see our meets go up a little bit there, but good on the approaches side. And then the last one, eighth grade social studies. And I will tell you, as I've told you before, that's a tough test. And so we had a lot of approach. We did not get the number of meets that we would like, but that is an extremely tough test. And that's an area that, and I guess I'll say this too, eighth grade social studies is hard from the aspect too. It's the first time they're taking a social studies test. And so if you look at all the STAR data and all the tests cumulatively, eighth grade social studies is the hardest. And so that's one to look at and one for us to, but if we looked at the results the year before, much different. Also, eighth graders not make excuse, but eighth graders do take 4 tests. They are eighth graders. Some of you have had eighth graders at home this year or have in the past.
Is that still American history? Is it?
And so,
Before Civil War? Is that what it is?
I don't even know what part it is.
right, it's before. So, but that's a tough one. But all in all, again, very good. I would, again, as I told you last year, I'd like, as we meet, I would like if we can get our approaches and our meets, our mastery to those to where we're 20% above. I think that would be super. We're still going to be an A in all of those categories, and A for the district. And I know, like he said, that's where the bar. That's opening high. But I would like, challenge our teachers and to get our mastery levels up. But great scores, great kids work hard, teachers work hard. Anytime you have data, there's things to work on and things to do. But all in all, very, very good. Any questions there? And again, it's a 90. You want to get 90%. As I told you before, 90% approaches. 60% meets, 30% masters to have an A rating. And so, we would definitely be an A in those categories.
Again, questions? That's good information. Thank you, sir. Next, discussion on the Blue Bonnet instructional materials.
Would you speak to that?
Sure would. You know, when we signed off on the instructional material, we were transitioning in the elementary with the new first grade, new second grade teacher, looked at the Blue Bonnets, one of the state's pushes. They put a lot of, it's all free. I went to 2 workshops. I had teachers go to work. I didn't want to commit to something that everyone else is going to just to go to, because a lot of times you'll find yourself in, but I did go. My kindergarten, first and second grade teachers did go, and we discussed it, and everyone's on board with us doing that. And so I ordered the stuff. We got it in. There was lots of rumors out that it was watered down this and that, but when you sit through it, it's really, really good. And I think with any curriculum, there's pluses and minuses, no doubt. But I think with the turnover and the number of teachers that are cycling through and a lot of that, it's very hands-on, it's very scripted. It's kind of like the C-scope stuff was, but there's value to it because you can make it your own. But I let them go, let them decide, and we visited it. And Miss Chisholm was our returning one, and she felt it was better than what we had and what we were doing. And so we did adopt those for kindergarten, first and second grade. With pre-K, you can't really adopt it for pre-K, but Miss Herzog's going to get in. And one of the things I've heard, especially from your third grade teachers, is, and when we visited, is it never counts until third grade, you know. And so getting something that we're aligned vertically and working together, and the kids are speaking the same language and the teachers are doing the same thing, we think would be an advantage. We did not want to address and mess with third, fourth, and fifth. There's not a reason to, according to that. But if we could get aligned all the way across the board potentially, and let them co-pilot it this year, and then let our third, fourth, and fifth grade teachers look at it next year to potentially see if things don't work, we can always go back to what we were kind of doing. Was everyone in kindergarten, first and second are kind of doing their own thing. And they're doing a great job teaching, but it's just not aligned. And so we have had a ton of turnover in that second grade job for whatever reason. First grade job, excuse me. Second grade been consistent. But if we have a curriculum in place, it's much easier if we did plug someone in. And so again, with their input, we went ahead and adopted that, did that, got all the stuff in. It's ready to go. They went to 2 workshops. They went to a workshop. They're actually going to go to implementation workshops, the 30th and the 4th, I believe there's 2, and they actually help them plan out their first 6 weeks of school. And so, and I visited with the principal from Abernathy and they were a year into this already and really, really spoke highly of it. So their elementary really loved it. So, with their input and with me going and spending 2 days there, I felt like it would be a good adventure for us or thing to do. And so, we went ahead and did it, and we'll be going with them for the next year. We've already gotten all the stuff in, and I think it'll be really, really good.
Do you know if there's one vendor creating that or more than one? Who is it? Amplify?
Mhm.
Amplify, isn't Eureka behind the
So they contracted with Amplify to wrap.
for them? Yeah,
But they did it under a different
they
name.
did it under a different name, right? So that will be the only instruction that's the change there, but just thought it would be, it would get us towards that. And again, if it doesn't work out, we're not,
Not out anything.
Is it like,
we're out zero. They gave us money.
Don't you get an extra $60 a kid?
And you get extra funding per kid per day. There's a lot of
it's like
strength.
building a bunch of identical pickups and putting GMC on some of them and Chevrolet and stuff?
Yeah, I'm sure that they're getting, friends are getting somewhere, but anyways. That's not gonna change the resources and the other things that we use. We're still gonna continue to use all the things, that we've done, but that was what we're gonna do.
I sat in a class in
Kalahari.
Yeah. Blank on Wednesday morning, and it was about instructional material and about all this AI and how it's just growing so fast, magic bus. And I mean, they showed us like 50 of them.
Yeah.
And they're like, this is just a scratch of the top of the surface on instructional material that AI is building for people, tools and stuff is pretty neat.
I think it has, that has real implications as we look
Mhm.
10 years down the road of what our kids are gonna be doing and the tools they're gonna use and how they're gonna work.
Mhm.
Reminds me of that movie Wall-E, you ever seen it?
Yeah.
Where everybody's just sits around in a lawn chair, and
Roller
moves
coaster with
around,
the big
and
gun.
the robots and the TVs do
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
They don't do anything
Right.
but go to the pool and go play video games.
Yeah.
I went to an AI thing at the principal, and one of the things crazy is they're using up tons of water. The amount of heat it takes
Yeah.
to do all this stuff. And I watched, there was on 60 Minutes last night. It's not Khan Academy. It's one of those, but they basically, what they're doing now is teaching the kids how to use the AI, not to get the answer, but
It's
to-
better.
to make it better and to guide their learning. And it's really, really cool by using it. It doesn't, and so it helps guide them and it helps them to learn and it helps to make it better too. And so they're having these kids do this, but it's really, really, it's amazing.
It's amazing.
It's
I
amazing.
love it.
And I like it too. I do. And
Speaking
it's
of the
scary
energy it
sometimes.
takes, I did see that it takes a tremendous amount of extra energy for those of us, and I will take the blame, who are polite to our AI person. Every
Thank
time I
you.
say please and thank you, I'm costing energy, but I can't
Yeah.
help it.
It's gotta be very
It's
good. Right?
not-
Just
They're
polite.
putting one of those big data centers over at Abilene, and I think we put a bid in, and there's over 500 control valves alone just controlling the water system
Right.
in that thing.
Great.
Crazy.
And make fewer mistakes than a human would.
Yeah.
But kind of like the cell phone. I mean, it's
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 here.
here. You can, it's here. It's a part of our learning and it will become a bigger part of what we do as we go forward. I don't see it going away.
So it's gonna be doing everything. I just did an evaluation yesterday and I was looking at my valve technician's answers and I was like, you did these at eight. I know, I talk to you every day, buddy. He goes, okay, you got me. He goes, but they sound good.
You sound like me.
I was like,
Yeah,
no, you do not talk like this.
Gotta tell him how to press. You need to water it down a little bit, buddy.
Conversation.
Wait, make it less professional.
He just kind of was like, sounds good. though." I was like, it sounds good, but.
Amazing tool, amazing tool.
Okay, the next discussion item will be the summer learning plan for Team Jayton.
I'll be quick about that. Jamie and I have been working on the teachers instructional team comes back on the seventh. Thursday the 7th, and they work 7th, 8th, and then Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday following. It's the big comeback. Stephanie and Kinsey and Andy too. I think the last day we had everybody on staff.
Yes, the meal.
They heard me tell all the instructional team, you got 3 days of comp time this summer, learn. Take a graduate class, go to trainings, serve on committees, do a book study, and as I told them that day, what's the old expression? Payback's your hell, you know, so they are gonna hear from me when we come back on 7th, 8th, 12th, 13th, 14th, 11th, 12th, 13th. We're all gonna share what we learned this summer. It'll be party, and I will send you all an invitation. If you wanna come in and sit on those, you're welcome to. And if you wanna participate, you just tell me and we can participate, but it's part of my effort to keep us focused on the reason we exist. And as Lacey will attest, even the first two questions, the people that did maintenance interview, the first questions in the maintenance interview was, given that this place exists for no other reason than learning, what will our kids learn from watching you, listening to you, interacting with you that will make them better citizens for a lifetime? Because everybody here is involved in raising those kids. And so it's just as important for those people to be cognizant of why we exist. That's it on that. Enough sermon.
Okay, we'll move to 3A. Action items, consent items, minutes from the June 16th board meeting. The financial reports, the JGISD behavioral threat assessment plan.
I took those off of the one that's on the online board, but those will show the assessment plan and the
Next meeting.
and that other one will appear next month.
Assessment.
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll just be going over the minutes and
And,
that's,
this document that I gave you, that Lane sent to me this afternoon, is the replacement for one of those documents that in the financial report, it's just the overall permanent school fund monies. So you can see the update on that.
I guess everybody had time to look over the financial reports and no questions. Need a motion to approve.
I make a motion that we approve.
Stephanie makes a motion, a second, 30 seconds, it all in favor?
So we can just do this as a motion to approve the consent items.
Mhm.
I don't have
The
to. list them.
consent agenda. Mhm.
Okay, okay.
Motion to approve consent agenda.
Got it.
And I can't remember what you've heard and what you haven't. I'll repeat it again. Anytime there's things on the consent agenda that somebody wants to pull out and discuss specifically, all you gotta do is say, I want to pull this out of the consent agenda and treat it as a separate item, which is fine.
The next will be an action item, consider amendments to the 2024-2025 budget.
Those are on the screen now, or you can look at them from board book either way. This is book cleaning for the year we're closing out. And so what Lacey does is constantly looking at money that came in, money that we spent, and how that is different from what we anticipated a year ago, or what you all anticipated a year ago when you built the budget for that year. And so, Lacey, you can speak to any of those you want to, if you want to.
The county permanent mainly is just, we don't budget for those things that we've done with county permanent monies, but we need to put it in there before the year ends, so that's that $2 million, what we've spent in county permanent money. And then the only functions that we're over in currently are 34, which is transportation. We did buy that bus. And then 36, which is extracurricular, and that's just our kind of successful year is expensive, so. And it's not coming out of fund balance, the money is not, we got additional funds from that solar nova that we weren't expecting, and so reduced the revenue of that a little bit to cover those expenses in 34 and 36.
And that was more than we thought we were gonna get to, wasn't it?
Yes.
So that 2 million, that's all that came out of the permanent school fund all year long? Is that what that means?
Yes.
Okay. And then will you scroll down? I'm assuming these 81s were all,
That's,
Mhm.
yes, all the
Okay.
81s, yes, are capital improvements from county permanent.
okay, and those are listed as amendments also because they weren't part
We
of the original budget?
budget.
Okay,
Yes. The capital improvements are the, air conditioning units, repairs to homes, anything permanent improvement. The football project was the final payments on that out there, and then the new home construction, final amounts we've spent this year, and then the baseball, softball, that 45,000 is architect fee.
okay.
Yeah. He sent me another invoice today, this afternoon.
And the budget turns over on August 1 or September 1?
September 1.
Okay.
So you'll see more likely next month of amendments.
Cleaning it up.
Yeah.
Matching the end, making the books look like what you actually did. That's what that amounts to.
We will need a motion to approve that.
I'll make the motion.
Kinsey makes a motion.
Second.
Stephanie seconds, all in favor? Next will be an action item to revise of CH local policy to reflect discretionary spending limit of the superintendent to be $40,000.
Well, in board book, it says 50 after your conversation with me.
You can start. with it.
So
I thought we
we've talked about this before, and it's been 10. I've had several of you and Lacey and Keith tell me that they thought it got changed before. I have not been able to find it in the minutes, board minutes. As I told you all last time, 10,000 is just a little too low. Small districts run generally from 25 to 50. Mid-sized districts usually around 50. Some of the big districts, the superintendent can spend $250,000 at his or her discretion. But I had decided about 40 was okay with me. And then when I had the conversation with Cody last Thursday, whenever it was, he said, let's just put it at 50. And so that seems fair to me. I know it was lowered at some point because there was not trust that the superintendent would handle the money in the appropriate way. I guess that's why it was lowered. And whatever we set it at now, there has to be that big asterisk by it, you know, you want to believe that whoever is sitting in this chair forever is somebody you can trust with the money. That's really as much of their job as anything, but 50 sounds fair to me, and that's not uncommon. So comments or pushback?
I just think what originally had happened was we had approved it a while back, but none of the actual policy was ever signed and documented and changed, so it was actually never put in place.
Yeah.
The right way.
Yeah.
Everybody good with that?
Need a motion?
Need a motion to approve? And makes a motion.
I'll second.
Cody seconds it, all in favor? Next, we will consider salary schedule for the 2025-26 school year.
The reason this is on here as an action item, it's gonna be part of our conversation later when we look at budget stuff. But we have a couple or three. You and Jamie are 12-month
Yes,
and
coaches, counselor,
okay, so we have several folks that are on 12-month contracts,
yes.
which means their new contract starts August 1st. So you have to approve or tell us to go back and do it over. We gotta have the salary schedule approved by August the 1st. And when you look at that, when you look at this column right here, HB2, I'll tell you the logic that Lacey and I used on this. As we were watching what was going on at the legislature, it was clear they were going to give teacher raises, you know, and finally, when they closed shop in May, and we started looking at the language, it said teachers get $8,000 if they've had 5 years or more experience. We were assuming that the state would bill that into the state salary schedule. They did not. They said this is flow-through money, which means they didn't marry themselves long-term to that. They said, we're gonna do this for 2 years because we need your votes to get the vouchers. That's what that's about. So when Lacey and I were talking about it, I said, let's not build it into our local salary schedule either. Let's put it as a separate column so that it's perfectly clear that is HB2 money. And that's why you're getting it. So these 8,000s that you see are the teachers that were 5 years of experience or more. It's in black. And then there's Lauren, and I guess that's the only certified teacher, isn't it?
Yes.
That has less than 5 years, and the state flowed 4,000 to those with less than 5. As I looked at that, then we have Keith and Lacey and Darla and Kayla that were certified employees that got nothing from the state. And I do not feel good about them not getting a commensurate raise. So I said, let's put those in there. We'll put them in red so it's clear. Kayla's is 4 because she doesn't the years of experience thing in relation to the work she's doing. And then the question was, okay, what do we do about support staff? Because the state picked a number. I forget what it was, $145. Is that right?
$45.
$45 per ADA. $45 per ADA, and here's your raise that you give to your support people, which It's not much money. 45 times 170 is not very much money to scatter across these people. So I told Lacey, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take a look at what that $8,000 or $4,000 did from a percentage bump to our certified people, and see what that looks like if we give a similar percentage bump in pay to our uncertified people. So that ended up being right around 11%. And so we applied that to the overall average pay of our non-certified people, and it came out to be right. I mean, it wasn't exactly 1,750, but we rounded it, and so 3,500. And so that represents about 11% on the total average. Basically, it looks kind of like the teacher thing, you know. And then for those that are half-timers, of course, it was half of that. That's where the 1,750 comes from. So those are the salaries that we're posing to you. And on these yellow lines here, one of these is Teresa Benavides. The other one is the maintenance position that I'm hoping, if you approve this salary schedule, then that extra maintenance position is there. And then this bottom one, daycare, that's Chelsea Rude. Her name's not on there yet, but that's where that money comes from. And again, I asked Lacey, let's make it perfectly clear that this is House Bill in relation to what the legislature did with House Bill 2. So if they back out of it 2 years from now, and we feel like we need to back out, we can blame it on them. It's clear, and we're not just cutting everybody's money.
Yeah.
Because we're mad at them or something. Ask me questions if you got them.
Go back to the top. Was not no administrators?
Do what?
Was administrator in there? Okay.
Jamie's here, Lacey's here, Keith.
Okay, I saw.
And
I
Darla.
just didn't see it.
Keith and Darla. Those are non-teaching certified positions is really what they are, administrative roles.
That's, I just didn't see Lacey or. So that's why I was asking.
I think it's a good plan.
Yep.
Need a motion to approve?
Do I need to abstain from this entirely?
Yeah,
Okay.
good thought.
Do I put
Yes.
abstain with conflict?
If you want to,
Okay.
just for clarification,
Okay.
that's fine. Good thinking. I hadn't even thought about that. Good point.
Luckily, we still have.
Or we could just take that 8,000 out from Kevin. And then
Give it to you.
Let's go on Kevin, and then you can vote with us on everybody else's.
And based on what Cody said earlier, when you look at this column here on total contract, we can only hope that they all don't go to Port Stockton.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
So the ones in black, the state is paying that?
Just, the state, and they said this has to flow through. I mean, it's not like,
They're giving us a check for that?
yeah. And I didn't feel good. Another thing too, I didn't feel good. We could have given them that 8,000 and then backed out of some of our, like our 12% above that we normally pay, but I really didn't. I didn't.
No.
Well, we couldn't really either because they said you have to pay them what you paid
Oh,
them
8,000.
last year.
Okay.
So
Okay.
they're gonna take our PEMS report, our 87 records of the teachers and see what we paid them this past year. And we have to at least pay them that much and add the 8 or the 4.
And just for clarification, I figured out what you meant. But when you said $45 per ADA, you did not mean per support staff. You meant for the
All of
bucket of the
Per
support staff.
ADA.
Yes,
Okay.
which is, it's about $10,000.
Yeah.
Spread around.
Just scattered across, it wasn't, it was token. It was
Okay.
token.
Yeah.
And as I said, in relation to the comments I made earlier too, and Lacey's heard this sermon repeatedly. But yeah, some of us have a lot of education and some of us have to have certification. But what those ladies in the lunchroom do and what those paraprofessionals do and what those bus drivers do and the maintenance people is every bit as critical to us being successful as what happens in the third grade classroom. I mean, to me, it's the team effort.
Well, I see a number next to everybody's name except for yours.
Right?
Do we need to talk about that?
No, we do not. No, you all are paying me what I asked you to pay me, and I'm good.
Everybody good with that? Questions on top or bottom sheet? Appreciate y'all for doing that, basically, working on that.
Motion.
Andy makes a motion. I'll second it. All in favor?
Thank you all again for your confidence, we appreciate it, and I think our folks will be appreciative as well.
Next will be the fun part, select provider for vehicle fuel for the 25-26.
Yeah, you can tell on there, Cody, which one of those,
Yeah.
are have put bids in for fuel.
Propane.
Most of the ones that put fuel and diesel.
Let's see, West Texas. Spur.
So, and I don't know if you've been part of this before, and you're probably familiar because of Kevin is administrator. So on the, when you're open sealed bids, you're not required by law. I mean, the bids come in sealed and it can be a little bit murky. And some of them say, I tie it to what my grandmother was making 23 years ago, plus 14% minus Christmas bonus. And it gets kind of ugly. But bottom line is, we open the sealed bids and then Cody tries to write down what he thinks of planning on charging us. At the end of the day, the way the law reads is the board can choose the vendor that they think is most advantageous to the district. And sometimes you'll get a bid from someone in Tyler, Texas, you've never heard of. No. And they undercut everybody by 40%, and you know, how can they do that? I mean, you don't have to take the no bid. You
So
take
who
the
do we
one
use
that-
now?
Pardon?
Who do we use now?
Legacy for fuel,
Okay.
B&N,
legacy for all of it,
decent.
propane, gas, diesel.
Legacy's out of.
No,
Better.
They're the one service, so you know.
Yeah, maybe gas person. About to do some math.
Alright, propane, we'll get the propane.
legacy,
Legacy, I know we have used B&J before.
yes.
I've got their letter.
So this is the,
Which one are we gonna talk about first?
we can go with yours, Cody.
On the agenda, it's vehicle fuel first.
Vehicle fuel? That's not it.
So I don't
I
have.
mean, if you want to go in the order, it's on the agenda.
Yeah. Alright, for fuel, I've got Legacy. And the school district percent lead gasoline from the bidders. The bid price is $2.45 and 96, 2.4596. The rack plus 15 cents markup plus 9 cents freight, which makes it $269.96 for Legacy. Fuels on gas. Who's got Cooper oil
Right here.
for fuel?
The bid price is, it's 20% markup, current price is, 20350. And then state tax, 20 cents. Total price is 243.50. And that's gas.
Cooper, 243.
Yes, sir.
Where's Cooper out of?
Hamlet.
Yeah.
So we have Spur.
I have Spur Co-op. After a markup, it looks like for gas is 2.367.
West Texas gas.
I just like TG fuel.
Mine is Cooper.
DG,
Yep,
that's.
Is that it?
But that's propane, isn't it, or is it gas?
well, they have gas,
They have gas and propane.
diesel
Okay.
and propane.
Good deal.
They changed, it was WTG fuels, now it's just TG fuels.
So all they say is 20 cents over laid-in cost.
That's out of Smurf.
Yep.
See, we get a couple like those. That doesn't have anything on top right or nothing.
No,
Mm-mm.
That's part of that confusing thing. I mean, as you can imagine, them trying to predict what to charge us for
For-
diesel
That we can.
7 months out.
Cause
Right.
they're so,
They're,
they're gonna
they're
charge.
they're trying to hedge their bets a little bit.
19 cents per
Don't
gallon
know
over.
what they're laid in.
Do we need to add
Cost
19
is.
cents to that?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Right,
I've
right.
never done this before.
Right. I mean, it's,
My resume.
what they know is they want our business.
Yeah.
That's what they know.
I want business and as much of our.
But
money as
unlike
I can
some
get.
of their customers, we're probably gonna pay the bill.
so. We appreciate the legacy
For gallons.
keep us
So
supplied.
36 plus 19.
Yes.
That just goes to the tanks out,
Two
of that part, right?
Right,
The gas and
So
diesel
it's gonna come
yes.
Say 20 cents.
and propane.
256.
Propane for the school.
Yeah, can do that too. What was Legacy's price?
Legacy was 269. Cooper Oil was 243. Y'all just make sure, like Kenzie just noted on the Fair Farms Co-op, it was 236.
But they put in a paragraph.
But down below that, for delivery is an additional 19 cents, so it's like 255 a gallon.
Great.
There's your freight. Okay, you
So
got it right.
her co-op gas is 255, Cooper Oil is 243.50,
So gasoline.
Legacy is 269. What'd you say? Just 20 cent over laden. Which we don't know what that is unless everybody says the same. What, 245 is their cost. What does that say for their
So
cost?
they're doing 256 is theirs and then 19 cents over.
Shows the difference, but I don't think in
$3.
labor cost and then rack price.
Oh, the tax free.
Yes.
I mean,
Gonna
Legacy
get a
does our-
rack price and then
Yeah, and that's what I don't know. They wrote about 19 cents, but then they added 19 cents, but is that
The laid
the
in
assumption?
cost
is-
is give to them, I believe.
Yeah, you can have them
Come
over
over
here.
here.
What the-
But it doesn't matter. Go through and
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
The state, it's-
That's what I think
I didn't
too.
know I knew that.
So.
And that's. I wonder-
How they put them.
Well, yeah, I mean, I wonder if Cooper Oil. They- they're-
Okay, next we'll look at diesel.
I mean, I feel like
Diesel for
Legacy
Cooper,
gave- having one they see like this.
266, leave that total, that's nothing else.
Freight and everything here.
266.
26 cents difference.
Well, and I mean, another factor is.
Okay,
History with.
Legacy is 288, 16 cents. 798, 313.
That's one of those.
313 for Legacy. Next one, need either West Texas or Spur.
For the PG fuel, it's for, it's 30 cents over for their diesel.
Right, 8-foot radius, because
Who knows for it?
Yeah.
Which we can probably, they probably pay the same thing.
So they've got it at. I don't know why they have that different.
That's if you get it at the pump. Hmm.
Yeah. So they're saying 20 cents over for delivery of undyed.
All of ours is road diesel though. I mean, it's,
Dyed diesel,
no,
I'm done.
Undone, yeah. So, but I don't know why those are different.
They're showing at the pump it's 315, but if they delivered it's 360 plus 20 cents. No, plus,
326 delivered,
so it sounds like.
that's what I think, it's 326 delivered.
For Cooper, that's dyed diesel.
it's off-road diesel.
Yeah.
We don't have any, we don't buy any off-road diesel. do we? Is
Well,
We have a tractor.
I track a little bit.
the factory, doesn't use enough to worry about, but the new generator, it has been highly recommended to us that we use the farm diesel in that because it has less biofuel and it won't create the gumming up and the problems with
And it's not.
the age of the fuel being in there. We don't have to use any additives to keep it fresh. And so they told us that they would highly recommend that we run that in the generator. Obviously, in our buses and stuff, we can't do that anyway, but, for that delivery, that's what it would be. In the future would be the red diesel for the generator, so.
I'm glad you were here.
How much
I
is-
would not have even occurred to me.
That's not a lot, that's not a lot a year, is it? Like 100 gallons probably, or?
I'm thinking, we don't use it, if it's just in the testing phase, we'll probably average about 100 to 150 gallons a year on, with it just doing test runs. Now, if we had to run it
Like to use it.
for a week, we'd have to fill it 3 times.
Yeah.
So, it just depends on it, we end up using it.
You buy it at the start sheet, so
I don't have,
still have dyed diesel here.
off-road diesel here, I don't think.
So that is dyed for Cooper.
Yes.
They didn't put a price for non-dyed.
Just gasoline and dyed diesel.
What's the difference in dyed diesel and dead diesel? It's just the tense, isn't
Propane for Legacy. It is 109.
Been awake too long. I mean, our
it?
sleep,
All that drinking I did on the way back.
I don't know how you do it.
Legacy is $1.09, 109.7.
How many miles you drive a month?
109.7.
Well, this month was unusual.
This B&M
To
just
go to Shreveport,
27 cents above our cost.
it's 1,000 miles.
Now this,
So, most months I go there 2 or 3 times. But this month's been kind of busy because I had these things on my calendar before I.
What's the next?
signed it.
Yeah.
Yes.
The spur one, the we see, 76 over. Yeah.
B&J Welding, what do you have on propane, Cody?
BJ Welding is,
30 cents over later.
30 cents over. $0.30 overlating cost, which would be $1.26.
So then $1.70, that's gotta be close to $1. 27. What's that latest fuels for the propane?
Well, I know that, and I don't know if this matters in our decision making, I feel like it does, but I know that they donated toward the Booster Club, they give it to Silk Show, it's
Who does?
Legacy.
Yeah.
Their diesel's 313, I think it's close to 360 in Odessa. Fuel's about 269 in Odessa right now. Cooper Oil's fuel's 243. What do you think?
I mean, we have a relationship with Legacy. I mean, they're kind of higher than a couple and then lower than really
Just
some of
on
it.
gas. That's about it.
How long we've had Legacy?
I think 2 years.
I say it was two, yeah.
Well, I think they did our pumps and Jake, they bought our pumps. And I think I finally got us gas in town.
Yeah.
Legacy did?
Yes.
They own the pumps and not the co-op, the gym, but they own just the pumps and the tanks and. That means a lot to me, just somebody comes in and
Yeah,
gives us gas in town, and I don't know of anybody that attempted that. It was expensive, I know those pumps are expensive. The tanks. We're without fuel for 2 years.
I'm getting,
Yeah, and the relationship, if we've been using them and we haven't had trouble,
No,
then
No problems.
that means
Not
something
that I
too.
delivery or
It
anything.
yeah, we call them and say, and they come that afternoon or next day.
Okay.
Who we get the DEF from?
Well, they've put a DEF tank out there. I don't know this for sure.
That's the only DEF thing we had
I
bad
don't
last
know
year.
if
DEF.
Legacy brings DEF or we buy that and
Yeah.
I don't know.
If we're sharing that or something, you know, we had that bad DEF at the first of the year,
Yes,
one of those.
Really?
it, yeah.
It's messed up the.
It gummed up the white bus. Well, no, it wasn't
Well,
the yellow
it-
bus, the trip bus.
The
It was the yellow buses.
yellow buses.
Those broke down.
Maybe that'll go away. The diff stuff is emissions stuff anyway.
Well, it seems.
Yeah,
Hey,
good.
I vote for them as legacy. I just like what they've done for our community and they help out on all of our kids' stuff that they're in. Not saying some of these others don't, but I just know they do.
Yeah, they're pretty expensive on the propane. Diesel's pretty cheap. Gas is right on the border, but it's still right where market is if you're out. Lubbock or wherever. So I'll make a motion to approve Legacy Fuels to supply. I guess we'll have to do one for
It'd be three different motions, one for
Gas.
vehicle fuel, one for diesel, one
Diesel.
for propane.
I'll make a motion to approve Legacy for our gas. For JGISD.
I'll second.
All in favor? Next, we will look to diesel.
I'll make the motion. To approve for diesel.
Andy makes a motion to approve Legacy Fuels for our diesel. And we need a second.
I'll second.
Kenzie seconds, all in favor? Next, we will need a motion to approve Legacy Fuels to provide our propane to JGISD.
I'll make a motion.
Cody Stanley makes a motion, Andy seconds, all in favor?
That felt just like business, didn't
The next, action item will be delegate wealth equalization intent. Is that actually on here?
Mhm.
Okay, I wanna make sure.
it? Yeah, I know.
'Cause that's a lot to
I-
read.
I did
Intent,
not anticipate that problem.
intent contractual authority, the superintendent to obligate the school district under Texas Education Code TEC 11.1511 C4 solely for the purpose of obligating the district under TEC 48.257 and TEC chapter 49. Subchapters A and D and the rules adopted by the Commissioner of Education is authorized under TEC 49.006. This includes approval of the agreement for the purchase of attendance credit for the agreement of the purchase of attendance credit netting chapter 48 funding.
So those of you who've been on the board have done this every year. Those of you that haven't been on the board, what this is, the law requires that you make someone accountable for giving the correct numbers to the state for purchase of water because we're a property wealthy district. So
Superintendent,
put it on me.
Okay.
Hate on me if you want.
I'll make a motion to approve all of that.
They throw me in jail.
I'll second it.
Andy seconds, all in favor?
And she has to come visit.
You look better in orange.
Everybody looks better in orange.
Me and Jelaine Maxwell, maybe we can have side by side.
Next, we will,
Before we talk budget, can I have a bathroom break? really
Yes,
quick?
what?
Anybody else, restroom break?
Yeah, but you wear orange every, burn orange is a little better.
Right.
I think, you have that, my binder right there.
Okay.
We discussed making an emotional banning burn orange merge.
Who'd wear
Told
that?
you, you were wanting to do that and stuff, I'll tell you, we won't be buying anymore. Well, whatever the number was on that board a while ago, that'll be the number we stop at. Hey, if I have to listen to that song 180 times a year, I can wear the orange every
Which
once in a
one?
while. That is true. That's our good old, our thought song.
That was
Well,
hard
you
for my
better-
dad too.
That's really hard. No, well, Hallie tried to video me because we have an Aggie family and I turned, so I was clapping, I kind of turned aside. You won't get a hullabaloo or a thumbs up out of me though. I'll just, that's the Jaybird song.
Yeah, the loop, the neck, and that.
None of that. But my Aggie family really thought that was great. I said, we scored about 5,000 touchdowns this year. I did not know until we had to meet the Jaybirds, Lady Jays, and everybody came around and
Hot phone.
I was like, you gotta be kidding me.
Oh, yeah.
Like somebody wanna keep these, legacy, you know, all this,
Yeah,
all of them, best legacy.
Klondike's tech.
we'll keep them all, and
I was at Klondike, they don't.
so we know who to notify,
I did tell
let them
my,
know who got the bid.
Aggie, when we went to Memphis for the July, but we do the big event here, and they were really impressed that we carried on that tradition.
Legacy got all through.
Sorry. The big event? The big event, yeah, because it was an A&M tradition, it was the guy that, they started there, I didn't realize that till we had the big event that day, and Miss Carpenter was reading, yeah, that was a neat thing, it is a neat thing.
You know, the Aggies hate on the Longhorns pretty heavily, but I worked at UT for 13 years, and I was assuming that the hate went the other way, but the Longhorns hate on the Sooners. I mean,
The Sooners way worse,
that's
yes,
the number one devil.
Yes, I would. and Tech hates everyone
Yeah.
equally,
They paid enough,
that's how I've always assumed.
They spend enough money on the transfer portal this year, everybody's gonna hate Tech.
They better win the Natty in
Schedule.
softball, than softball for sure. They better win some football games. Yes, they did spend a lot of
I
money.
think that you want. I think this is how. Next, we will move on to the 2025-26 budget harama.
So, you all have a binder. You know, and I'll start this conversation and then, I'll let Lacey correct me when I lead you astray and fill in some blanks. And I'm thankful, she told me that this is a process that she's been using every year, I guess, since you've been in the business office. And really, it makes it much more understandable and digestible. On the inside front, you see the coding mechanisms. Fund 199 is a big pile of money, and then the sub piles within that are designated for the different things that we fund, instruction and resources and guidance and counseling. So you can see that function number. And then the other big pile of money, it's not that big in our case, is down at the bottom of that, Fund 101, which is basically the cafeteria funding. So tab by tab, you can see Lacey provided you the 24-25 budget there to start with and what that looked like. And as you made budget amendments earlier this evening, that we'll continue to clean those books up. And then, the next page there on that same tab is the function by function allocations. That was the budget that was approved last August. And those are the numbers that you started the year out saying, this is what we think we're gonna have and what we're gonna spend. The next tab is 25-26 salary info. You've already seen that and you approved the salary schedule, so that's exactly the numbers you saw on the screen over there. The next tab is the certified property values, and those were the preliminary values on April 28th. Cindy sent the revised ones to us yesterday, which, and this is about the time of the year usually that we get those. So the appraisal review board gets to hear all the complaints from taxpayers that think they've been wronged. I sat in that chair for 5 years. So thank you for rescuing me from that, I guess. But the real value, the final values came in yesterday, and Lacey, if I'm remembering correctly, instead of that bottom number of 424 million, it was
461.
461. So that number, that number goes into the summary finance. We'll look at that in a minute. That helps us crank out what we think we're gonna get from the state, what we think we gotta pay in recapture and all that stuff. And so that difference will have a little bit of impact, not much. As I told you all and warned you all the other day, we're proposing a deficit budget of 670,000, I think, in that ballpark. And so that'll change a little bit between now and August the 12th when we show you, I'll show you those numbers before we get to the meeting on August the 12th, so you're ahead of time and have opportunity to chew on it or ask me questions. The next tab is 25-26 preliminary budget. And that's what we're predicting. This is what we think the revenue that we're gonna take in. And on that first page, and the money that comes into school districts generally comes in 3 buckets. It's the money you get from your local taxes, it's the money you get from the state, it's the money you get from the federal government. If you get money from the federal government, usually through the title programs. And you may have not been watching the news. The Trump administration is attempting to dismantle the Department of Education. July the 3rd, they sent notification across the nation that they were freezing up a bunch of those grant monies that normally flow to school districts. And for us, thankfully, it's not going to matter much. When I was down at Mathis last week doing their leadership retreat, their superintendent told me that he was going to have to find $1 million to do their after-school program because that federal money just dried up. I don't know if you saw the email from the TEA today. Oh, no, that was from Lisa Mesquite out of the Regents Center, basically saying, don't count on the federal money. If you get it, it'll be later if you get it. I think, and she and I have had this conversation a lot on the federal money stuff. What I think is going to happen is I think the Department of Education will be gutted, if not completely dismantled. And I think what will happen, if I understand the Trump administration correctly, I think what they're saying is they believe that education should belong to the state and local entities and not to the federal government. So I think that money will flow in block grants to TEA and Louisiana Department of Ed and stuff, and then they will fund special ed, fund Title IX, fund Title I in a way that they think is appropriate. But everything's in limbo at the moment. A long story. That's the third bucket. And then occasionally school districts get money from a fourth bucket from external grants. Sometimes benevolent. When I was at Throckmorton, they just had a sugar daddy. Ross McKnight was raised in that community, and he's wealthier than God, and he would just flow money to the school district when they needed it. And so occasionally you get that kind of grant money, not often. I'm not forgetting something, am I?
Nope.
Revenue sources.
Nope.
So generally speaking, we live off of the local tax money and the state money. We don't get a ton of federal money. Not nearly like Well, our neighbors over at Valley, I think, are in a real bind. Because they were living on quite a lot of that federal money. Anyway, that's the revenue page. Then the next page there, after that is, the expenses that we expect, function by function by function. And as you can see, we think we're gonna spend $5.7 million, $8 million. The next tab is tax rate, budget comparison, and this is what I sent to you all ahead of time. To give you a historical sense. Because nobody likes proposing a deficit budget. I read it was either last year or the year before. I didn't have to care much because I wasn't a superintendent at the time. But 60% of the school districts in Texas started the year with a deficit budget. And it's just tight monetary environment. The good news is here, when you look at this historical view, I forgot what I said, 6 out of 10 years, or 7 out of 10 years, you proposed a deficit budget, and about half of those years you ended up in the black. And I got a question for you, and I'm putting you on the spot if you don't want to answer or you spit at me or something. So we did the budget amendment earlier this evening, and we adjusted the revenue from that permanent school fund as a bump of $2 million. Is that the reason that some of these deficit budgets went black?
No,
Okay.
no, because we don't typically budget for that county permanent anyway, because either we haven't started a project or we don't know the price or just have to put it in there before year end. You know, some of them were, I don't know if Acetar, you know, they were giving us Acetar money for several years. Then they said, you better start planning. We're going to take away Acetar. So we planned, that was a deficit. And then September 1, they said, no, here's some money. So that took care of that 1 year. You know, the bad storm, we got a large insurance check, but all those repairs we paid for out of county permanent money. That helped last year. And most of them aren't large deficits, with the exception of that 22-23. I mean, that was, you know, almost $1 million in the whole, as well as 23-24. But you know, things have happened that we didn't know, you know, about. So, and we did receive the solar money this year, or it would have been a deficit again. We budgeted 2.1 million for solar. We got 3.1, almost $3.2 million. So, the financial people with Underwood have really said don't budget more than the 100,000 for the 313 agreements for that solar Nova 1 and 2, because we don't know many things right now. Because it was kind of supposed to be a gradual come down of money, like year 1 you were going to get the lot, which we did, and then it was going to be significantly less, but you were still going to get some. But, you know, legislation has changed, evidently with green energy. We only budgeted in this current year 100,000 for those solar Nova 1 and 2. So,
yeah, the green energy thing, at the end of the day, I mean, and I think as we all get older, and certainly as our kids and grandkids know, they're going to use green energy. Personally, I think the nuclear energy is probably going to be the thing that outpaces the solar and the wind energy. I think the technology there, y'all may have read where those researchers in, I think at UCLA, felt like they cracked the phishing code, several months ago, but then it went quiet, and what I'm thinking is they're probably figuring out a way to monetize that and get rich. But I think nuclear, green energy is probably gonna be the thing that outpaces the solar and wind. But, from a little further back historical view, I mean, I was here in 1992 when Robin Hood kicked in the first time. And, at that time, the state created county education districts where it was groups of 10 or 12 districts. So the wealthy in that little batch would share their wealth with their neighbors. And then the state decided, no, we need for that money to come to Austin, and so we're lived through several iterations of that. But what I want to do is draw your attention, because Lacey said something that brought it to mind, that the column next to not the far right column, but the one next to it, tax rate. When I moved here in 1990, the tax rate was 27 cents. It was before Robin Hood. And when I moved here in 1990, this school district was spending $12,000 per student on a 27-cent tax rate. But then Robin Hood kicked in, and over the years, the legislature has changed things. They've changed tax rate, and she mentioned at one point they said your tax rate has to be up this high. And then they said, you can't charge a tax rate higher than this. And then for those of us that are property wealthy, they started compressing the tax rate. And so when you get down to the bottom three versions on that column, you see that tax rate is 0.7892, 0.7892, 0.7892. So we're at that point in history now where we don't even have to make the decision that most school boards make. So what are we going to do? Where are we going to set the tax rate? The state just says, you're stuck.
Yeah.
This is it. So that makes our decision on tax rate easy. But we still have to try to estimate what we're going to spend. And if you adopt, when we come back here on the 12th, and if it'll be a little different, I think, because of a change in the property values, but it'll be close. If you adopt that budget, you can know this. Even if you adopt that budget, you will have more money in the bank when we start this coming year than you had in the bank a year ago because of that solar excess that we had. So you can look at it, that excess covers the budget deficit that we're predicting for the coming year, if you're trying to rationalize it. Next tab. This is the budget. That's where all the pages are there. So it goes function by function, by line, by line, by line. So in instruction, it breaks it down into what you're paying in salaries. It breaks it down in what you're paying in professional development. It breaks it down in what you're paying for supplies and contracted services. So that's just the line by line by line version, which is just in the weeds part of what you saw up earlier in the summary version of it. And then I think that's all. No, the last one is the one with colors, and this is the Omar Garcia summary of finance template that everybody struggles with. Where you plug in your number of students, you plug in your number of weighted students, you plug in your number of pregnant students, you plug in your number, all that transportation information goes, everything that's in the PIMS system, the Public Education Information Management System, everything that data point that's in there goes into this. And that's how the state estimates. So they're doing it based on the information we put in PIMS. We're doing it on the information that we think we have in relation to property values, tax rate, collections, percentage collections, all that stuff. And what Lacey knows is this, in the coming months, we'll start school next month. And then the state will send us an email and say, well, we've run the calculations again on last year's stuff and we think we're off a little bit here. You owe us some money or we owe you some money. And then 2 months later, they'll say, well, that final was not final. We're gonna have another final. And so it's just a continual cleaning up of the books based on data that people think they've got a better handle on. But ask questions if you want to. It is not an exact science, it is an occult art on its best day.
So I see what's in the permanent school fund, what's in the fund balance? Because I'm assuming if we go over, like if we adopt this,
It'll come
we're
out
looking
of
at
there.
bringing it out of that. Okay,
Yes.
so what's that one?
Right now, 13 million.
Okay.
We still have one more month, but
Okay,
ended the year 23-24 with 11.9 or something like that, and
okay.
And so to your question, Kenzie, too, so every a constant fear of people that work in districts like this that have some money in the bank is there are so many districts that don't. They worry about the legislature robbing the bank and scatter it out. As that hasn't happened yet, but it's always been a fear and a point of conversation. As a general rule, I mean, from a superintendent perspective is I will be comfortable if we have 2 years of operating money in fund balance. Because then you can absorb cuts that you think you're gonna have to make, a lot of it by attrition. You're gonna have some people retire and you don't replace them. You'll have someone leave. What you don't have to do is fire people
Right.
to make your budget payable. And so if you got a couple of years of operating money, then you can plan and phase and count on attrition. And if worst comes to worst, you can not do band anymore, or, I mean, but you can plan for it rather than just, good God, we can't do it anymore. And it's a political nightmare. We lived through that at Round Rock, and it got our superintendent when he cut swimming. The swimming people got him, but.
Well, like, how do you even anticipate, how do you even forecast something like that, you know?
Well, it's, well, and in the current environment, really, I mean, this is the most unstable of financial environments that I've ever worked in. Basically because we don't know what's gonna happen at the federal level.
Right.
And as I was talking to Dr. Chapman at Comal today, I mean, those people in the metropolitan areas that live on so much of that federal money, I mean, they're looking at cutting programs and positions. And most superintendents, most of them will start cutting out at central office first. They'll try to keep money in the classroom as long as they can keep money in the classroom. And so, for instance, they'll tell high school principals, you know, you've been building a schedule based on staffing at 25 students in each section of Algebra 1. You got 20 sections of Algebra 1, 25 students in each. And so the message that gets, I'm gonna cut the assistant transportation director, but at the high school level, you're now gonna figure a master schedule on seat count of 28 and not 25, which means one less math teacher.
Yeah.
So it's a dodging dart, but.
But wouldn't you say, I mean, when you look at like 13 million in fund balance, I know lots of schools that have way less than 13 million that don't have.
Oh, yeah.
So our thing will be predicted way in advance, I would say, because our neighbors will dry up long before we do. You will see it come.
But like,
Correct.
when Robin Hood hit us, I mean, I remember it, things changed quickly, and, you know,
Yeah, it was a shock to the system.
it was.
Shock to the system.
Okay, so let's see, one more time, will you explain, so I know you said that they kind of cautioned about the solar revenue
Mhm.
estimation, so they said, just to be safe, say 100,000. Is it possible that's gonna be in the millions again, or is it almost done?
I don't, it won't be as high as this year.
Mhm.
And he really couldn't tell me for sure if it would be any at all.
Okay, so it's a big question.
Yes.
Okay.
We will get the 100,000, which is from the 313 agreement that we signed with them, giving them the deferral.
So
on
that's the
tax base.
guarantee.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
And I feel like there will be some, but you know, we've got to do the local property value study that goes to the comptroller's office and they wait till all of those kind of reports are public, I guess, and then we'll say this, I just don't know.
Those should appreciate in revenue every year anyway.
Well, they said, I mean, I think it's a 10-year 313 agreement. When that's up, the value of that farm will pretty much be depreciated.
And then does that influence why so much is going into the permanent school fund right now?
No,
So what's causing that to be so huge?
oil and, yes,
It's,
we
we're riding
own,
that wave right now.
we own land in Dawson and Martin County that has oil production on it, and
Okay.
evidently there's some new wells that are
Gotcha.
doing very well.
Must be doing very well.
I know a guy that works out there.
Is it this one? That one?
I think we have.
Dawson and Martin,
Salt Creek,
Hector, but not.
Wells, Cedar Lake, and don't we have some in Pecos too? Reeves.
No, it's just in Dawson and Martin County, because we're our permanent school.
And I don't know if you know this or not. I mean, stop me if I'm telling you something you know already.
Okay.
When the legislature a long time ago, went into public school business. They made public schools county education districts, and the county judge and the county commissioners control the school in the county.
Wow.
And as time went by, Dallas, the city of Dallas decided they wanted to be independent from that. So their voters choose to be the Dallas Independent School District, and happened all over the state. There's very few common school districts like Guthrie that remain. But when they set that up originally, they decided, well, we want to help fund these counties, so we'll give each one of those county school districts a chunk of very valuable land. Well, they thought they were giving them junk land out in West Texas at the time. And as the time turned out, that turned out to be pretty valuable land. But as those districts over the years got into financial pinches, they would sell their land off to a local landowner or something. And so there's not many that still have their county permanent school land. Yeah,
Not many.
not many have held on to it. And that's, I don't know if it's just good fortune or good luck or wise decision making over the years from the county commissioners and the school district's perspective that they held on to it.
Did you know we actually sold that?
No,
We sold it back in the Depression, before the Depression, and it got defaulted on, so we got it back.
oh my word, I did not know that.
Yeah, my Uncle Bob told me that story.
I did not know that.
Bert's,
I had not heard that.
yeah. Were you on the board? Remember when those people from Rankin got on, superintendent and the business manager?
Mhm.
About to have invested, I ran into somebody in Rankin and was talking to him about it. And I was like, well, how's that going? He's like, man, it's rocking and rolling right now. He said, we may build 3 more schools if we want to in the future. He's like that, because once they invested that money, everything they generate goes into the general fund. and They can
Right.
use it for whatever. He said, but
Yeah.
took a hit at first when the economy kind
Yeah.
of did, but he's like, it's really
really done some good.
And there are school districts now that, I mean, but Van Horn is a case in point, that are making money hand over fist over the green energy stuff. If that holds, I mean, that has been propped up by federal incentive and federal subsidy. So we'll see if it holds. I don't know.
Is that the rocket ships over there, the blue sky, the blue?
In Van Horn?
Yeah. Well, and there's, and then the crypto stuff now too, these data centers are adding a different dimension.
I think I said in Van Horns like 3 years ago on all their CTE programs that they developed with Chevron and ConocoPhillips and that blue.
Yep.
And just doing all kinds of stuff. It's pretty neat. Them and Sunray spent a lot of money on their CTE program.
You know, Elon's stuff down there in South Texas, I think it's in the Harlingen area, I think, they built a city basically, with the high-tech rocketry stuff, and the values of that property just lower.
Blue Origin.
Yeah.
Okay, so next month, on August the 12th, we'll polish these numbers a little bit. We'll have that hearing in which we publicly say, here's the budget and tax rate that we think, and then we'll let our voters, if they want to comment on it, and then we'll vote on those things, and off we'll go. Ready for the next item if you are, sir.
The next item will be a discussion item, the 313 agreement, termination of Solar Nova Field 3. I thought
Yeah, our attorney is negotiating that, I mean, that's done, all that's done on that. The only thing that remains is just signing off. I mean, they're not gonna build that third farm. And, so it's just a matter of the lawyers getting the paperwork language like they want it. But we've gotten the $50,000 from each of the three, which was the contractual agreement. And, so that's just, we're waiting on the lawyers to send us the paperwork to sign now.
I heard that phase 3, instead of a solar farm, they're gonna build a data center, an AI data center in its place. But I don't know who.
That hadn't come on my radar.
I heard that from, actually Matt, he works for South Plains, and they were taxed with the, TAP project of supplying enough power to that, which is more than the power of Lubbock, Texas.
Yeah.
Just that.
Well, that would be good news for us.
Yeah.
If they're shifting that and turning it into another high value property. Well, I assume that we would be asked to sign a 313 agreement or something similar for that kind of
Would
amount.
expect
I mean,
so.
what they do is they try to kick the can on the road.
I know that
They build
Galaxy
that.
is doing that, is shifting from the crypto mining to the AI, which is going to
I don't know if it's Clearwater Energy.
Clearway.
So I think over there, actually, they bought like another 200 or 300 acres to expand that facility.
That's all I got on that 313.
Okay. Houses are good.
Yeah, both sets of teachers are in. And, I stopped by and visited with Clayball. She told me they would be continuing to toggle back and forth and move stuff as they empty their house they actually have a house in Meadow. So that they're preparing that one for sale, and, but they're in. And, I think the other thing on there was softball, baseball. Jason contacted me yesterday. I poked on him when I could anticipate an opinion of probable cost. And he had been running numbers and stuff, and he said, originally, my initial runs it looks like 6.5 million, but I've been talking to subcontractors. He said, I've talked to the people at Colorado City. And I think I told all of you that Cody and I met him in Colorado City last Friday or Friday before?
I think it was Friday before.
Jason flew his drone over. But he told me in his email to me today that he felt like part of the reason they came in at 4.7 is they already had the concession there, they already had the parking there because of the football field, and so that lowered the cost of building the softball, baseball. So anyway, he said, I think I can give you a good estimate next week of what I think it's gonna cost. And I've told some of you, and I've told anybody that'll listen to me. From my view, when I came in, I knew it was both a political problem and a financial problem. The good news is that permanent school money has continued to climb. The bad news is that still a large chunk of the community feels like they voted down that thing last November. But I want to believe that my conversations with commissioners, because I share a lot of the same information with them that I do with you. And what I would like to believe is that the ground is being well prepared for the number to come in at a price that we can agree to. And still have a nice facility. So that's where we are on that. But as soon as I hear something from Jason, I'll report. I'll let you know. I won't let you wait till August the 12th. I'm ready for this thing to get going. Jiminy Christmas, I'm ready for the thing to get going.
I think when we started that discussion this time last year, we had about 18 million in our permanent. And our goal was to get.
Well, I know
our goal was to get to 30.
when y'all brought me on March the 4th, it was at 21 million. Man, it's just ballooning. And my computer died. What is there something else on the agenda?
In board book, it's a discussion item for property additions.
Oh, yeah, thank you. This is just, I'm floating, I've had some conversation with Cody Scott and some with commissioners, and then I had so there's properties around town that have delinquent taxes that are really dilapidated. The one behind Summer and Jody's house, and I think, did you say it belonged to Weaver? Or
Thanks, Panther. I think it's in her name on the
One that burned.
tax ID, the one. Right
Anyway,
across from John Connor.
There's several properties that are pretty dilapidated. And one of them right across catty corner from the gym is, I know we can buy it. I'm almost certain we can buy it. So what I'm floating with you all is that unless you tell me to not, for the ones that are delinquent enough in taxes that we can just take them, I'm thinking we just take them and trying to clean them up. If nothing else, just clean them up. If we want to build houses on them, we can. And then some that we can get for a fair price that are nothing more than rat's nest and eyesores. Maybe I'll bring back what I'm learning from the owners of those properties to see if we want to just buy them. Again, that would be permanent school money. And I can tell you from my conversation with the commissioners, they're very much interested in getting some of the places around town cleaned up. So I think we can work kind of as a partnership in that regard, to accomplish that. Maybe it could be a win-win situation.
I say green light on that.
Yeah.
Sorry it ran so long. I knew it would be a little bit of a lengthy thing.
I'm just, I go through every line item on this.
Yeah, I mean, if y'all want to go through them, we can.
I'll read it tonight.
Okay. Well, I think if you got a question, ask me, If I know the answer, I'll tell you, and if I don't know, I'll find out.
Yes.
We did that one summer, all summer long, line item, everything in that back section of the, and say, where can we cut? Where can we cut? When was legislation change there, we lost a lot of funding.
Probably wasn't that big, yeah, so, went from the $4 to cents.
So you said 13-ish in the fund balance? Is that pretty healthy? I mean,
Yes.
is that kind of where we keep that, or is it?
It's been 9 million, it's been 6. I mean, we've put a little in there, but
How does money go in there?
Well-
Surpluses?
yes, from surplus budget,
That's the only way.
yes.
So like if we buy a bus or sell a property, that's where that goes?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, if you were to buy a bus without bond money, then you'd take it out of fund balance. If we had not budgeted for it in that year, if you decided you wanted to go that route, then you would use fund balance for that.
So
Money,
as,
so-
as we replenish our fleet and any auction or sales of our existing fleet, was that where that would go?
Yes,
Hmm?
it would go into the budget and then any overage in the budget would go to fund balance.
I had forgotten what that fund balance, road and.
Well, we're fortunate that it's as healthy as it is. I mean, we're fortunate in a lot of ways.
Mhm.
We're fortunate.
So we have our 2 years, pretty comfortably.
If things went to hell in a handbasket, we could keep doing what we're doing right now for about 2 years. Without much.
Well, if we got no tax money or if anything like that,
Right.
let's say,
Just
if.
If the funding spigot just turned off completely,
Yes.
we could still run for 2 years while we try to figure out what to do. Which is a blessing. Not many can do that.
No.
Is-
Not many can do that.
All right. Time to make a motion to
You good? Kim?
wrap this up.
Good.
Need a motion to adjourn?
I'll make it.
Kevin needs a motion to adjourn.
I second it.
Thank you all again for your
Second, all in
service.
favor?
Thank you.
Thank you all for putting all that time in that education stuff and budget and